Good morning, nation. John here. We 5x5 here. Oh, 5x5. The house looks like it's on fire. Smoking. A little bit of it's coming from the coffee. Most of it's not, though. How's everybody doing? It's Monday. So, yes, it has been. Good morning. Can y'all see me and hear me here? 5x5. Thank you, Mama Rocks. I appreciate that very much. Thank y'all for being here this morning. For subscribing, yes, FJB, for subscribing. I appreciate it. It helps grow the platform. This is our platform. Thank you to the usual suspects who were in the house as well. Y'all always pack it out. Thank you to the moderators. If you have a question, if you're brand new here and I don't see the question, get in touch with a blue wrench. They will hook you up in the chat. Please keep your arms and legs inside the ride at all times this morning. What's going on, Shorty? Sometimes it gets crazy over here. Sometimes. So first in the house this morning, Michael G. And also special thanks to Michael H. for the super chat. I caught that as I was sitting down with the coffee. I appreciate that, brother. Quick reminder, two things. So number one, we're going to have a second stream today for those that are on Patreon and in the coffee club. We're talking about the edge of Alaska. Yeah, pretty decent show. So we'll be talking about that. It will be before lunchtime, and that'll replay here on YouTube sometime this week. Second of all, Joe Biden is giving his State of the Union tomorrow. And so, as we like to do here at Prepper Nation, I will be developing a bingo card for that special event and posting that here at Prepper Nation. So, that'll hit the community section. Be sure you're subscribed so you get the bingo card and you can play along, son. This morning, we're talking about all kinds of stuff, but we're going to start with talking about avoiding the mistakes, because this particular mistake in the right situation can get you killed. Charity, good morning, and thank you. Welcome to the coffee club. No tie today, maybe not. Who knows? Kevin, I was getting suspicious when I logged in. There was like 109 thumbs up. I said, here we go. But whatever. So I was out with my wife this weekend. I wasn't able to play a whole lot of Warzone. My wife had me hopping, and it is what it is. We did some shopping. We went out to eat. But this particular case takes place at Aldi. We went to Aldi. We really didn't pick up a whole lot. We just hadn't been in there in a while. We stocked up on broth. I know it's not the sexiest prep, okay, but they have the paper like containers of the broth, chicken and beef, and we got a bunch of bouillon. But whatever. The point is, as we're checking out, and we still got our quarter in that little slot in the buggy, the next line over, this lady is all decked out. My wife spots her pocketbook. She knows she tells me later it's an expensive pocketbook. She's wearing Sabika jewelry all over the place. And I can spot this because my wife from time to time does jewelry shows, long story, but sometimes I get forced into running the table while she eats lunch or whatever. So I'm able to spot this. I mean, this lady is all glammed up and she's buying tons of food. Most of the people that I saw in Aldi, we call them buggies. Some people call them carts, right? Are about a third full at max as we're going through line. This lady just has a ton of food in her buggy. And I can spot other people watching her at this point. And I said, this lady is actually putting herself in harm's way here. Now, I don't think she got jumped in the parking lot or anything like that, but she wasn't being gray. I'm watching other people stare at the groceries that she's buying. It's like she was the total opposite of gray man. And I said, well, I got to talk about this a little bit on Monday because this can be very, very dangerous to somebody right now. Now, some people just don't care. They're going to wear what they want to wear. If they got an expensive pocketbook, ladies are into pocketbooks. I don't understand it, but they are. They will spend a lot of money on pocketbooks. And my wife can spot them. I don't know if all women are like this or not, but they can spot them. They know the brand names and stuff. And she was like, we got in the vehicle. She's like, John, that's like a $400 pocketbook this lady was carrying. And then I commented on all of the jewelry and stuff, but she was really putting a spotlight on herself. And what's worse is she had zero idea that she was doing it. She had really no idea that people behind her in line, that people behind me in line were staring at her, staring at the stuff that she was buying. I guess some of it was jealousy. I mean, people want what you have right now in 2023. And now this was not in a horrible neighborhood, but if she would have been in the wrong neighborhood, this could have ended badly for this lady. Um, she had made herself an easy target. So, I mean, just right now, knowing that people want what you have. All right, if you are lucky enough not to be struggling with finances and all of this stuff, and inflation really hasn't impacted you, and you've got a lot of fancy stuff, nothing wrong with that. You probably worked hard for it, okay? But you don't want somebody to come along and scoop it up or approach you for this kind of stuff. You have to either practice going gray or you need to be carrying a firearm. And I know some of you carry a firearm, and it is what it is. You're just not changing for anybody. I've seen those comments where we've talked about in the past, we've chatted about cashiers. They were doing this during the pandemic. I guess they still are. They were asking, why are you buying this amount, or this is a whole lot, and some of you have just said, you tell the cashier it's none of their business. But if the cashier's noticing this stuff, I promise you other people are too. And some of you are like, I'm carrying a firearm. I don't care one way or the other. But some of you don't. Some of you don't carry or conceal carry. And if you're going to go that route, you need to be gray. What are we talking about when we say gray? All right. We're talking about gray is a really bland color. Believe me, I know it's on the back wall here and it's killing me, son. I want to change it to something else, but it's something that just doesn't stand out. You don't want to stand out. That's the basic concept of gray, man. You have to have some sort of understanding. Okay, so in this lady's case, she's going in a grocery store. She has to know that this jewelry, I mean, this is the reason that they're wearing. If you're familiar with Sabika jewelry, this stuff's easy to spot. There's a lot of bling involved there, okay? So the purpose of her wearing this is to draw attention, which in a normal world is totally okay. But we live in Joe's world right now, and Joe's world is not safe. All right. So you do not want to bring attention to yourself. Now, maybe she had a 45 or something in her pocketbook and she just don't give a crap. But she didn't strike me as the type. I'm going to level with you. She did not strike me as the type of person that was even pro Second Amendment, just by the lady's mannerisms. And maybe that's wrong on me, but you have to practice gray. You have to practice not standing out right now in Joe Biden's America. Bland colors, kind of like what old John's wearing right now. Bland colors, my $10 North Face jacket that I got from the Goodwill, and a t-shirt. All right. If you go in and you're wearing something that's bright yellow, lime green, something like this, bright orange, this is going to stand out. This is going to draw people's attention your way. Maybe just for a few seconds, but still, those few seconds could turn into something much, much worse. Again, if you're wearing a fancy watch, if you have a fancy pocketbook, it can make you a target. All right. You want to have limited jewelry. You don't want to overdo it. I understand people like their jewelry and stuff like this. Tie time. Okay. Coffee makes me feel less murdery. Yeah. There we go. Coffee makes me feel a little less murdery. I appreciate the tie time, y'all, and the person that sent this over to me back in the day. Limited jewelry, limited brand names. Okay, you don't want to be that person that goes into a store and you have, again, these fancy brands and stuff. You don't want to be decked out head to toe. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to go in with a pair of Ray-Bans on and then have the Ray-Ban t-shirt on and have fancy jeans and just have $400 tennis shoes on. This is going to make you a target. In Joe's America, the rules are different now, folks. There are a lot of desperate people, which is, going to bring us to the poll here shortly. Park in a well-lit area. It's a mistake I see a lot of people making at night. Walmarts have to be the worst for this. I'll see families getting out at night, and, we'll be going into the store. We always park somewhere that's well lit, and I can see them parked near the back of the parking lot. They're walking in. They're walking through 100 yards of pitch black. All right. Vehicles around. This can make you a target in the right situation. If people are desperate enough, like I was trying to tell my wife, I was trying to explain how this was dangerous. I said, okay, this lady has what a lot of people can't afford right now, stuff that people want. She's made it obvious. This would be like walking, down a street that is filled with alcoholics who can't get their hands on alcohol, carrying a bottle of Jack Daniels. You're just making yourself a target for no reason, because it only takes one or two people to really want it enough to where they're willing to break the law. And right now, people are willing to break the law. All right. This one is controversial. Some people are going to disagree with this, but no direct eye contact. All right. This does not mean that your head's down here as you're walking. That that projects you as an easy target as well. Okay. You want to make sure that people see that you're coherent and that you're situationally aware and you know what's going on, but you want to limit eye contact. You don't want to stare at somebody for more than a split second, okay? Because then that also brings attention your way. And now the spotlight is on you. Now they're trying to figure out what you're all about. Carry yourself with a little bit of authority. This is something that has bothered me about tall people. I'm one of the taller people. I'm not a giant or anything, but a lot of tall people will hunch down, and again, they've got their heads down and stuff like this. Now, I've never understood this. You know what I mean? Tall people have bad backs. If you're going to deal with the bad back, at least, do it with a little bit of authority. Walk around, you don't have to go into a store like Stone Cold Steve Austin, but walk into the store like you are not afraid. This is going to keep some of the heat off of you, so to speak. Um, know where the exits are. If you're in a bigger place, a busier place, this is something I've been doing for a very, very long time, and it had something to do with social anxiety. I always wanted to know where the exits were at, and I always wanted to keep things in front of me. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm in a busy place, there you go. Big T knows what's up with Stone Cold, right? If I'm in a busy place, malls aren't really busy that much anymore, but they used to be. And if I'm there, I'm trying to keep as many people in front of me as humanly possible. I would rather watch them and be situationally aware than have a bunch of people walking behind me and stuff like this. It's just how I'm wired. What? There you go, Chewbacca. Situational awareness. The best way that I can describe this is like defensive driving. All right. Defensive driving takes a little practice and it takes a little more effort. Some people just cruising down the road, listening to whatever, Tupac or whatever, son. They just driving down the road, not paying attention. But defensive driving requires you to assume that everybody is going to screw up and make a mistake. Um, and by driving defensively, when that mistake is made, you're ready for it. Okay. Situational awareness is very similar. You have to it takes a little bit of effort and it takes a little bit of tweaking and stuff before you get it right, but you have to assume that everybody's a bad guy. Every single person is out to get you. And I know that sounds paranoid, and maybe it is, but if you handle yourself in that way and you ever come across a real bad guy, you're ready for it. All right. So this is not checking your cell phone every 5 seconds. This is scanning at eye level and trying to figure out what the situation is. So it just seems important to me. All right. With all the trafficking that's going on and with the ladies out here. And again, if you're carrying, that's great on you. If you're packing firepower or something like that, that's good on you. You probably are already situationally aware if you're to that point, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people think that ladies and stuff, they're like, they got the fist cuffs ready, and that's just not gonna work in many, many cases. So I wanted to mention that before we move on this morning because it can potentially get people killed in the wrong situation. You're in the wrong parking garage or you're at the back of the wrong parking lot and you're dressed and you're very much out of place, that's going to put a target on you. And there are bad people out there. And the bad people seem to be growing by the day. Um, I carry to the bathroom, Backwoods says, just in case you run into somebody that identifies as different, Head on a swivel. Yes, Kelly. Thank you very much. I guess I could have just said that and been done with it, but then where would we have been for the last 15 minutes? I'm packing firepower in more ways than one, two-wheeled prepper says. I see that's an excellent point somewhere in West Texas. I see a lot more homeless people, and that trend, unfortunately, is going to continue. There were a lot of people barely getting by or living paycheck to paycheck prior to the pandemic. And now that the economy is much, much worse, people are losing their homes or apartments or whatever the case may be. And I'm seeing it here as well. We're seeing, I don't want to say it's a huge epidemic all of a sudden, but we're seeing a lot more people. And you can tell many times, you can tell they're walking down a busy street, but they've got a huge rucksack on. You can tell that they're just going place to place or they're kind of on their own at that point. And it's very sad, but at the same time, it can present danger if you're not prepared for that. Um, and again, unfortunately, it's going to get worse because Joe Biden, his administration doesn't seem to have the answer. I know that they said the jobs report is great. They put that out at the end of last week, but people were saying, they've had to pick up a part-time job. This job was added because we can't afford groceries anymore or we can't afford medicine. So now they're working their full-time plus a part-time just to make ends meet. You still have a lot of people who are not working at all and who unfortunately don't have a home anymore. DJ, good morning. How are you doing? Raven P, homelessness is up 37% since January of 2022. So that's a huge rise in homelessness. Thank y'all for bringing that up because, again, I mean, there's some good people that are homeless, that aren't going to hurt you. They're just in a really, really bad situation. But some of the people are on drugs and stuff like that, and they will rob you if they think they can get away with it. Or they will try and take what you have or worse. So just be mindful of that. So there was an earthquake yesterday. Pray for these people. That's the reason I'm bringing it up. 1,800 plus dead right now. This was in Turkey and Syria. They actually had 2 earthquakes. They're expecting more. They don't know what magnitude. The first earthquake was 7.8, which is a nasty one, and it was followed up by a 7.5. And again, I bring this up for 2 reasons. Number 1, pray for these folks because they're not through it yet. Number 2, expect this to be the top story in all mainstream media. All right, as it should be. To be honest with you, that's a lot of lives lost. However, anytime that this is front and center in the mainstream media, you you want to get away from it and you want to start looking at the other stuff that's happening because when there's an event like this, they're going to slide a lot of news kind of through the back door, if you will. And people are not going to see it. People are just not going to be privy to the information. And I'll give you an example here, okay? Dell. Dell announced this morning, most people haven't seen it because they've been getting hit with news of the earthquake. They're laying off 6,650 employees. So this is going to further decimate the economy, Joe's great economy. And I'm saying that sarcastically, folks. But it's news like this that they're going to slide in and try and, they are going to try and hide this kind of news, especially the bad financial stuff, while everybody's focused on the earthquake, while everybody's focused on Ukraine. They're going to slide this other news in. 5% of Dell's workforce, Briar Patch says, But this is not the end of the tech sector. I mean, they're going to continue to lay off, and it's going to affect other sectors as well. Some companies have, I think, kind of held on. They knew they were going to lay off. They're just waiting for the right time to announce this stuff. Um, Buffalo, New York, there was a 4.4 earthquake. Did not know that. Um, Warrior for Christ. Yeah, I did see where they're messing with the DEFCON levels and stuff like this, and they're saying, relations are really bad between the Chinese and America right now. But honestly, we need to get away from China as much as possible, and we need to start nationalizing a lot of the stuff we depend on them for. As long as we're not, at war with China, we really don't need great relations with them. We certainly don't need to bow down to them. A lot of our government seems to want to do that. Shout out to the rednecks in South Carolina who were trying to shoot the Chinese balloon down. There's no way they were going to nail it. It's way too high up in the sky. But apparently, once it got to South Carolina, every redneck with a scope was trying to take it down. And I don't know if this led to the decision of our military finally taking it down, but they said it got to the point where it was a little dangerous. People were just shooting up in the air and stuff. Jim Shady White, what's going on? Everything you said was what I taught in women's self-defense classes. Thank you for that super chat. And it is very important. I'm not trying to pick on the ladies here. I know we got some tough ladies here. I'm not picking on the ladies at all, but I'm saying, and I'm sure you know this, Shady, bad guys look at women and they think low-hanging fruit. They think target, easy target, especially if the lady is not paying attention. They're on their cell phone, or if they're dressed in all kinds of expensive stuff that the bad guy potentially would want, because they're projecting, hey, I have a lot of money. So if they're coming into a store and they're buying tons of stuff and they're paying cash, I think this lady paid cash at Aldi and she had all kinds of jewelry on. They're probably thinking, hey, how much more cash does she have on her? What else does she have on her that can be sold and stuff like that? So, yeah, it is an important message. I mean, it's not the most glamorous message. We're not talking nuke strikes this morning or anything, but it is important. Or just a dozen of eggs. Yeah, Cogito. Oh, she got a dozen of eggs. Let's jump her. Yeah, in this day and time. So the poll morning. Have you noticed an uptick in crime in your area? 65% of you said yes. 35% say no. So there's a huge national uptick in crime, but it's specifically right now robberies and home invasions. So people are looking for alternative ways to get their hands on things that they want. A lot of people are addicted to drugs, maybe, and they don't have the money for them anymore, and they will home invasion on somebody quickly if they think they can get what they need to secure their drugs. A lot of people want money and they want designer stuff and they want fancy tennis shoes and stuff, and they just don't have the money for it. So yeah, they can steal it from you. They will, I think. So who's in the house this morning? The dude's here. Lord Eagle is here. Car theft is up locally. Thank you, Lord Eagle. Hunter Moon's here. Kid Coleman. Tammy Duckworth, good morning. Black Cat Whirligig says F around and find out. Have y'all seen that meme online where the guy's got that graph, that math teacher? Mike McDonald, what's going on? Oh my God, here we go. Hippie Grandma, what's going on? Triple T, Chief Indian. Kelly H, good morning. Good Lord. Dynamite, what's up? Pilgrim Prepper. Laurel Wolf, Bear Paw. Woo. Misty, good morning. Explicit, how are you doing? Says here. Brother Speed, how you doing? He says hello from Idaho. Shorty, again, is in the house. Gen X Prepper. Forrest, prepping to survive. Kneel to no one. I love that name. And Sean Penrod, good morning. So on our social media, I'm seeing a lot of posts still about utility bills. And I kind of feel a little guilty here because I'm sort of glad to see them a little bit. I thought that we were the only ones in our area that was getting hammered. But now I know it's a pretty much a nationwide thing. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the utility bills being through the roof, but at least I know I'm not on the crazy train by myself, so to speak. He-Man, gutter mouth granny says. It really feels like a crazy train. I mean, it really does. Biden's crazy train. Let me ask y'all this now. I'm putting together the bingo card and stuff, but I will use some of the comments from this morning for for that bingo card. What do you think Joe Biden's going to be talking about the State of the Union tomorrow night? Foo bar. That's another way of putting it, Tiger. So you're standing up in front of the nation and you're giving the State of the Union. Like, what is the state of our union? Realistically, we just had a weather balloon slash spy balloon, whatever, fly coast to coast, and it took a bunch of rednecks shooting at it before we finally took it down. I'm sure we're gonna hear about Sven says about the whiskey shots being successful. That's definitely going on the bingo card. A bunch of gibberish and come on, man. Come on, man's going on the bingo card. Uh, let me see here. He's gonna blame Trump for something. He's gonna blame Putin for something at least. He's gonna talk about the jobs report and how the economy. He's the best president ever on jobs. To hear him tell it. Um, Talon, I haven't been checking the email, brother. No, really, I'm not kidding. Oh, there's some good ones here. Yeah, I know it ain't no joke for us, but every time he gives a State of the Union, we do a bingo card just to see if we can kind of nail down what he's going to talk about or lie about prior to him doing it. More threats. Okay, that's got to go in there. Will he mention F-15s at any point, y'all? Will we be threatened specifically with F-15s? Um, he'll say that we are domestic terrorists. Yes, backwoods. That's got to go in there too. All the new jobs, the economy is great. He's going to mention the F-22, Mike says. Gun control. Yeah, Michael G. Oh, that's one of his quotes. Okay, I got you, Forrest. Mother of Cajuns, thank you for the support. Here always, but this is the only way I can chat. Well, I appreciate you being here. I see your name pop up every so often, Mother of Cajuns. No threats from China. He beat Big Pharma. You think he'll mention that? Gas prices, really? You think he'll have the stones to mention gas prices? Um, David M, thank you. Now I'm doubting he's mentioning his hairy legs. His hairy legs. Grow food. Yes, Milton just says grow food. Forget about what Joe Biden's saying tomorrow night. Just grow food. Yeah, gun control, William. He's coming straight. I mean, they ain't even hiding that. He wants the guns gone. He might say it's Christmas. You think so, Misty? Will he walk off the right side of the stage, or will he need to be led off tomorrow? What's the biggest threat? What I'm the biggest threat to America? No, I don't think you are, Janice. I don't think he thinks you are. That's just a talking point. You know, us daggone patriots. We're the worst. We're the worst of the worst. Shady says, will he be able to talk with all of the Chinese pocket lint in his mouth? Oh, I wish I wouldn't have read that one out loud, Shady. You got me. Best economy in 50 years, Briar Patch. Please tell me that you don't actually believe that. You just think he's going to shout that off tomorrow. The border is secure. Maine prepper. His bingo card's going to be like this big, though. I'm trying to pronounce the name here. Cloyo from Northeast Georgia. Thank you for being here. So, y'all's chat. Let's go. What do y'all want to talk about now? This all reminds me of Trump saying China ate your lunch during the presidential debate. China always eats his lunch. They own his lunch. False flags. It's possible. Sven, I mean, a false flag is always possible. I don't know right now. The world seems focused on the earth. It's kind of like a juggling act between Ukraine and the earthquakes. To me, it seems like the more that happens, the less support Ukraine seems to have. People are really losing interest in the war in Ukraine. I think that they did a poll in Great Britain. I don't know that they've done one here or not, but the support is substantially down against this time last year. So people are losing interest in it, I think. How you doing, Amelia? Good morning. Gun control. Well, they're going to try for it. California's pushing really hard. They're getting beat in court as it stands right now. But they'll go in, they'll reword some things. Gavin Newsom will reword some things, and then they'll resubmit it and try and get around, the court ruling. Well, they backpedaled on that one. Where did that go? Cogito says, "Do you hear how they are saying that there were multiple balloons during the Trump administration?" Initially, the Biden administration said this is not a new thing. It happened a bunch during Trump's presidency, and then Trump basically made a statement asking when, where, point to some evidence, and now the Biden administration's backtracking on that, saying, "Oh, we might have been wrong about that one." Um, why is he at Camp David, Cody? So he actually, I think he was in the process of taking a vacation or a mini vacation when the balloon thing first popped up. And so he's probably back at Camp David afterwards. Chris Marie, it just depends on if you think EMPs are very, very likely. Um, Faraday bags all day long. Faraday cages, you can buy them. You can make them also out of ammo cans. It's gonna require some scraping at the top. You gotta get rid of the, like, the rubber gasket at the top of the ammo cans and stuff like that. It can be done, but I don't know that an EMP is gonna happen anytime soon. An EMP is one of those things that the prepping community talks about a lot, but we've never really experienced one, you know what I mean? Not saying that it wouldn't happen, but the likelihood of it happening is very low. And honestly, if we were hit with an EMP, I would be more concerned about what is coming next as opposed to the EMP itself. Because if EMPs strike the United States, I would almost be certain that a boots on the ground campaign's coming next, like a full on invasion. And that's where my focus would be at, you know, not trying to connect maybe a cell phone or something like that. It would be the invasion itself. Steph L says, I think EMP is our greatest threat. Well, I'm not saying it's not a huge threat. I mean, if it happens, it's knocking us back to the dark ages. I'm saying it's one of the least possible. I think the technology is out there, yes, but I think cyber attacks are going to be more common. Financial collapse. I think we're on our way there now, and then that's just a matter of time. Some people use old refrigerators and stuff. There are ways to go through and retrofit certain refrigerators or microwaves, even if they're decent microwaves. Good morning, we the people. How are you doing? Yeah, that's it, Tammy. Tammy says an EMP would only be the beginning, and that's the whole thing. Like, you're gonna need information. You want to have radios and stuff. You want to make sure that stuff doesn't get fried. But again, I have EMP bags. I'm good to go on that. It's not like I feel like I don't need refrigerator size EMPs and stuff. I don't have that much stuff to shield at that point, because if an EMP hits in this particular area and just wipes everything out, an invasion's coming. This is my thoughts on it anyway. And that's what I'm focused on, making sure we have what we need to survive, making sure that we can protect what we have. Bama Jen says, I think a conventional World War III will happen first. So it's interesting, because I heard it on mainstream media the other day. I heard them say they used World War I. What's happening right now in Russia and Ukraine, at least, trench warfare that was very similar to World War I, but now they're using drones. So during World War I, you had no man's land. People had to basically bolt from one trench, run across 100, 200 yards of no man's land, and jump in the other trench. Now they're flying drones back and forth. So it's like World War I, but a lot more a lot more technology is being used, if you will. What's going on, Vaughn? Backcountry Preps is in the house. In an emergency, a ham license is not required, but knowledge is required. John Connors. So ham radios are good. You do need to be licensed to use them, I think. But as you're saying, in a full-on emergency, the government's collapsing. Ain't nobody coming to your house if you start using them. You're correct on that. I mean, at that point, it's more of, you might draw the wrong attention your way if you do know how to use them and you begin to use a ham radio. I'm sorry to hear that, Muzzle Flash, but they've been known to do it. Good morning to you. Yeah, that's my thought on it, Tiger. An EMP would take out all cell and TV towers. You know, in the event that there's some radio being broadcast, I do like the idea of having an emergency radio. Um, but I'm not one of these people that I'm worried about packing cell phones down in and stuff like this for an EMP, because if it reaches EMP level, we got a lot worse problems on the way. Italy hit with a massive cyber attack, Gen X prepper. Cyber attacks, on the other hand, very, very, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of the right words. A lot more probable than an EMP. There's so much focus on EMPs all the time, and people don't know how to deal with cyber attacks. They don't know what to do if the banking system goes down for 2 days, that sort of thing. Kevin Paulson, thank you very much, but I hate Tootsie Rolls. No fun needs to be established on that one. Will electronics in a basement be safe? I think in a normal basement setting, no, they're not gonna be safe. It would depend on how the basement was set up and stuff like that, but, EMP is gonna fry almost anything that's exposed. Socks, beans, and things. SD cards are small and hold a lot of data. This is another reason I like the Faraday bags as opposed to the huge Faraday cages, is because you can stick a lot of SD cards and USB flash drives and things with a lot of information down in there. But then the question becomes, what are you going to use them on? Once everything is said and done, are there going to be any computers up and running? Stuff like that. Why are you giving up, Denise Hatton? If you were asking a question, I'm sorry I haven't seen it. Tablets powered by solar. Yeah, as long as they were in a Faraday cage or bag or something. those should be okay. I mean, you're probably not connecting to the internet and stuff like this, get books. I'm right there with you. Oh my ET, get books. I'd just much rather have it seems to me that it would be more simple paper books as opposed to USB drives and SD cards and the need for tablets and the need for laptops and things and the need to power them or a paper book. This is why I'm a big proponent of paper books and things. Have hard copies of information such as print material. Yeah, absolutely. You can't carry a library on your back, big T. No, you can't. But you don't have to carry the stuff everywhere. You know, if you're set up the right way, you can have you don't need an extensive library, but you need, you know, a good stockpile of 50 books is not going to take up a ton of room. No, you're not carrying 50 books with you all over the place. But a lot of that stuff, hopefully, you've already read through. You know what I'm saying? You can go back and you can kind of research it again if you have questions and stuff. And you don't need electricity to do it. Good morning, Jack. How are you? Sleepyhead 84. I have an autistic child who needs to play electronic games. I'm making a cage to put his old games in, so if it happens, he can have a little normal. And that's understandable. I think all kids are going to need a little normal. And you know, kids have their own things anyway. So yeah, in that situation, it makes sense to do that. I would be looking at Game Boys or something very, very small. Let's see. Um, Old school film with a magnifying glass, and you could carry the whole library. You could, Ryan. It's just most people aren't set up for that. The average person, it's just not set up for that. You know, technology is great and everything. It has its uses for sure, but we were able to do it with paper and pencil long before the internet. You know, paper books and libraries and things worked okay. That's a fair point. Backwoods says no boots on the ground after an EMP. They will wait out and let us destroy ourselves. The only issue is if they hit us with an EMP, they know something's coming back at them, I think, you know, from the government. Now, yeah, society would destroy itself. They ain't no doubt about that. Tammy Duckworth, thank you. When it hits the fan, you won't have time for many things because you'll be too busy surviving. Yeah. Um, Firewood. I'm just going to go ahead and tell y'all now. Firewood, 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 and boiling enough water. I think these two things would be huge time sucks. You know, especially if an EMP were to go off or something like that. Um, Firewood, processing firewood and people don't understand what goes into it. I mean, you know, even camping extended, you know, for a week or something, it becomes almost a full-time job for somebody. Collecting wood, cutting it down to size, making sure that it'll fit in the fire pit and stuff like that. And then again, getting into collecting water, boiling enough water, you know, to make sure that you have enough. Crazy. A lot of manual labor. Yeah, Hunter Moon. Um, Prepper Truck, and your thoughts on the balloons causing battle? Would the use of the balloons be to target locations for EMP strikes? So I have one of two theories on this. Okay, the first one, Marco Rubio said it best. He did a statement or something during an interview yesterday, and he was saying that the Chinese are doing this because they view the United States as kind of a former superpower that's, I think he used the term hollowed out. And they're just doing it to mess with us just because they can do it now and they know they're not going to get much of a reaction. My initial reaction when I saw the balloon and then I saw that there was one in Latin America would be to gather intelligence, like you're talking about. If China has specific targets that they're interested in the United States, and they want to know if these targets are still where they believe they're at, that kind of surveillance. So yeah, I mean, it could be a prelude to something bigger, or it could just be that China's just jerking our chain because they don't think we're a superpower anymore. CKP, who do you watch for news? I'm all over the place with the news. Everything from Al Jazeera and BBC to InfoWars and Rebel News. All points in between. Morse Venture, an EMP would only likely hit a big city or two, and that would set the whole country back a few months. Yeah, because we have to understand if a major populous city, let's say New York City, gets hit with an EMP, yeah, initially there's gonna be total chaos in New York City, but people are gonna figure out very quickly, okay, the stuff we need is not here anymore. And our 2 options are to lay down and die or to spill out of New York and, start looking for the things we need. And so, as you were saying, to your point, 1 or 2 cities that have a huge population spilling out, bad news. For the suburbs, I mean, it's just gonna affect the entire region, basically. And again, right now, um thank you, Chris. Again, right now, I'm not looking at an EMP as the top threat here. Not when we have subs on the eastern seaboard somewhere that can just basically take out the entire eastern seaboard by pressing a couple of buttons. You know what I mean? Wipe out all the major cities there. It just seems like that would be, I don't know. Once you reach a point where you're launching where these called super torpedoes or an EMP or something or a nuke strike. Once you reach that point, it takes it to another level. If Russia does this, they know they're going to get it back. I mean, they know this. Our government's going to hit them back, and both countries are going to be set back 200 years. So, will they reach the point where they're ready to do it? Is Putin that crazy? Right now, I don't think he is, but I don't think he's willing to lose any ground in Russia. If we start trying to take parts of Russia, yeah, he would do that in a heartbeat, I think. We do. Kelly says, I wish we would have a zombie apocalypse. We do. Go to a local mall and you will see it firsthand. They're not staggering around. They don't smell like death. Well, some of them don't, but these people are zombies. And this is not to pick on the younger generation, but the people you will see there by and large literally have no idea what's going on. They are detached from reality. Um, you know, Trending on social media with all the chaos that's going on right now, trending on social media, number one this morning was the Grammys. And I'm like, is this really the most important thing right now? This is what all the young people with social media are talking about, though. They're talking about the Grammy winners. They're not talking about the biblical earthquake. They're not talking about the war in Ukraine. They're not talking about the employers that are laying off or the homeless epidemic. They're not talking about any of this stuff. It's the Grammys. That's what they're focused on. They're so enamored with celebrities that they're just detached from reality. Um, yeah, backwoods, and if things drop and things run out, they're going to act like zombies. Zombies walk around with no purpose. and they're going after one thing, whatever they want. If they're starving, they're going after food. They don't care who they have to try and overrun to get it. They're going to try and overrun you. Yeah, Briar Patch says F the Grammys. I don't even know who won, son. um, yeah, it's I don't watch them. P. Harris says, "What a satanic trash show." Yeah, I have no desire whatsoever to watch the Grammys, the Emmys, Super Bowl halftime, none of that stuff anymore. But a lot of people do. It's the most important thing for a lot of people. Was the Grammys on? Yeah, Backwoods. Yeah, I know y'all a couple of days behind though down there in Arkansas. Stringfield Ridge Farm. Who cares about Grammys? I would think nobody right now because Rome is falling down at our feet. But the younger generation, they care about Grammys, they care about social media, they care about stuff that really is not important. No offense to Prepper Nation, but if YouTube shuts down tomorrow, the world will keep ticking. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's not really world changing stuff. Gen X Prepper says the wife had it on and he fell asleep. Ark Nanny. Oh God, that's an excellent question. Will you watch the State of the Union? I really, really don't want to. Ark Nanny. Um, I really don't want to watch. It's so hard to watch Joe Biden speak. Um, I may do it just so I can cover it the next morning, and but I don't really want to. It's probably going to come down to it's going to come down to me having to watch it, but it's kind of like you'd almost rather have a root canal done. I'll do it, and then we'll chat about it the next day, what Wednesday morning, I guess. But good Lord, compare bingo cards, that sort of thing. Take a bullet for us, basically. Yeah, Forrest, might as well. I watched Jericho, David. That's an awesome show. It really is. Good luck with that dreaming trolling me over here. Good luck with that. A root canal without Novocaine. Come on, man. Southern Bear, come on, man. Oh, God. Mark Wilson says, watch the State of the Union to count the lies. No, I didn't. Captain Coral. John, did you see the NASCAR race yesterday? The stands were empty. No one came. I haven't watched racing in a few years. I got a couple of friends that are just obsessed with it. And I can sit down and watch it, but I just, I haven't really been into the many sports. My daughter, she's into soccer. And so I've kind of got pulled into the Premier League, if anybody follows the Premier League. And I've kind of got the fever for that right now. And I have been watching a lot of that, but I haven't been watching much else. Yeah, I'm going to Laurel. I think I'm going to take one for the team, but that hadn't dawned on me yet. Like, oh my God, I got to sit down and watch this thing. Uh, Man, y'all are crazy. Rogue Moxie and Zoltan both. Make it a drinking game. Take a shot every time Joe lies. Well, first of all, I don't drink. Second of all, that would lead to alcohol poisoning probably within 5 minutes, the way that man lies. uh, so I'll finish with this. Are there any Biden fans in the house this morning? I would pass out, Kelly says. Yes, Ben, NASCAR, they crapped all over their fan base. They aren't the only ones to crap all over their consumers. Where you at, Black Rifle Coffee? You crapped all over the people that put you there. And well, it's actually working out good for them now. They're in all the grocery stores. So I guess they sold out and made a lot of money, but I'll never forget. No Joe Biden fans. Wow. Robert says, I will drink for you, John, during the State of the Union. Hey, don't blame me. Don't blame me. If you wake up beside Stacey Abrams the morning after, I ain't taking the blame. Maybe McCarthy will tear up Biden's speech. Yeah, I saw, um, oh man, what is her name? Sarah Huckabee is doing the rebuttal for the Republicans. And I'm like, man, we just need them all out of there. You been there? Yeah, that went dark quickly. Um, Stacey Abrams is just fun to go to. I mean, she just is. Hypothetically speaking. Not literally. Come on now. NASCAR is a joke, Captain Coral's saying. All right. So for some of you, I'll see you tomorrow morning. And for the rest of you, I will see you if you're on Patreon or in the coffee club. We're going to do this again in an hour or so. And we're going to be talking about the TV show Edge of Alaska, applying it to prepping, see what's going on with that. So I'll see some of you shortly. But until the next time, whenever that is, y'all take care and God bless.